From the moment you set eyes on St. Genevieve's Church on the western edge of Fresno's historic Chinatown area, you know you've happened on a very special place. The exterior of the church leaves no doubt that it is Chinese, where traditional Chinese lanterns provide warm illumination for parishioners. And the unique styling continues inside as well. St. Genevieve's history is as rich and as beautiful as its art. Herbert Jeu is an active part of that continuing history.
My family's connection, the Jeu family, was basically through my grandfather and then also my father. And basically, there's other families like the Wong family, the Lee family, the Huey family, and most important is the Marr family. Mrs. Marr Sr. basically was the one that got Bishop Scheer the idea to open up a mission for the Chinese community. At that time, the Chinese needed an agency or an institution to help the family with basic needs for food, but most importantly, Mrs. Marr wanted Catholicism to be introduced to the Chinese community, and that was instrumental. In 1938, this was done. Mary Huey, unfortunately, was not here, but she was one of the children in 1938 that was here. And one of the key people that basically was able to help that was the sister Stephanie, because when I came here as a child, my four sisters and I, we were all a year apart. Can you imagine 4 little babies being introduced from the ages of 4, 5, and 6 to an institution that basically they didn't know anything about? My mother, who did not know anything about the sisters, was afraid because they wore a black habit. My grandfather, the senior, basically said, these people are very good people, because his experience of the mission, Catholic sisters, he knew about. So he was able to convince, to take away her fears. So from that point, from 1950 on, my family and the baby boomers, basically the war bride children, came to this church. And the mission was established in 1938, but actually it really came in, most important, when the war brides came here, because that's when was the first time that Chinese women were allowed to come here. That meant children, which meant to be taught about Catholicism. And Sister Stephanie won the hearts of the whole community. She loved the children, and the children learned to love her, and the parents learned to love her. And she was the key instrumental love element that touched the people's heart.
St. Genevieve's has an active religious education and catechumenate program now for children and adults. But many of the parish elders remember with great love how the Sisters of the Holy Family cared for them in the Sisters' School and led many of them to the faith.
Sister Stephanie would take my husband's siblings to and from church while the parents work. And for a long time, and then Sister Stephanie started asking whether my husband, Benjamin Louie, would like to join the Catholic Church. And he told Sister Stephanie that he needs more time to visit other churches. So finally, he had given into Sister Stephanie and got baptized as a Catholic.
At its founding, the church was a mission, a satellite of St. Alphonsus Parish. It is located on the western edge of Fresno's Chinatown district in the intersection of Tulare and C Streets, with the parish boundary being only one city block, making it the smallest parish in the world. St. Genevieve's grew as more Chinese moved to Chinatown and formed a parish that celebrated their faith as Chinese Catholics.
I come to 1948, and the church, I come to church real simple, and everything, no work, nothing. Father was home that time, remodeled the church, everything from the Taiwan, the window and the 14th station, all from Taiwan, and St. Mary and St. Joseph, everything from Taiwan. And the pew, I don't know how, when he fired and changed everything, looked real nice.
On the New Year Day, we want a younger generation to know how the tradition carry on in this church and hope they continue to do it. That's what I let all the people know. We are in here, not just to come to worship God, but we will continue our Chinese tradition year after year.
From its very beginning and still now, many other ethnicities have been blessed by St. Genevieve's.
My earliest memories in the early 1950s, my parents would come to Mass here because Father Jose de Galarreta was a great preacher in Spanish. And in summer school, the Company of Mary would have summer sessions here for 6 weeks. At the end of the 6 weeks, Father would get a bus and we would all go to Roney's Park and spend the day, and that's why I came to catechism.
Many parishioners have fond memories of Father, now Cardinal Roger Mahoney, who served as their pastor from 1964 to 68. Parishioners were glad to see him, and he them, for the 75th anniversary Mass and celebration on July 7th, 2013. Father Victor Din, a Vietnamese priest serving as parish administrator since 2009, and Monsignor Myron Cotta, Vicar General for the Diocese of Fresno, concelebrated a Mass in which present parishioners and former members united for a festive bilingual liturgy, English and Chinese, and catered reception which followed in the church basement. Over its 75 years, St. Genevieve's has had 12 pastors. Father Steger led the community in the 1950s and recently visited his beloved flock. In the 1970s, Father Finian McGinn pastored both Our Lady of Mount Carmel and its mission, St. Genevieve. In 1995, the Diocesan Vicar General, Father Sergio Negro, enjoyed very much his St. Genevieve family. And from 1995 to 2005, Father Vincent Lau guided the flock before retiring from full-time ministry after 50 years as a priest. Father Gennaro de Marcais succeeded him for the next 4 years while serving as pastor of St. Alphonsus. Another very popular pastor was Father Francis Chung, a priest who came from China to rebuild the parish between 1980 and 1994.
My family came to Fresno in 1977, and then one day we heard from a friend that Father Francis Chung was assigned to this Chinese church in Fresno. We didn't even know there was a Chinese church in Fresno. So we came to St. Genevieve's on the urging of Father Francis, and at that time there was like not many people at the church. You can probably count on 2 hands the amount of people that attended. So Father Francis approached my family and asked if we would be willing to serve.
Jesus promised to be present wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in his name. The Catholic community at St. Genevieve's is small, but they definitely experience his presence deeply when they gather each week for Mass and community building. No matter why they first come, they all seem to stay for the same reason.
Essentially, we stayed with St. Genevieve's because we found it to be like a parish family. And then Father, basically through the years, he built the church back up, and attendance became to be very, very healthy. We've stayed with this church because Father's legacy has built this church to be a very intimate and special church, not only for the Chinese community, but for all parishioners who recognize the uniqueness of St. Genevieve's.
What's most special to my family, to us, about St. Genevieve's is that personal encounter that we have with the other congregants. I have never felt that personal connection and Actually, my encounter with Father Chung was very personal. It's to tell you the truth, it's a place where everybody knows your name, and I don't know how better to say that. You know, they know us and they're happy to see us, and we're just as happy to see them. And it's that beginning with a personal foundation that makes it so very important to us.
Being at St. Genevieve, there's really no other place that we know. Every Sunday we always come here. Our parents came here, our grandparents came here. We will come here, and hopefully our grandkids will come here. So that's how we want to continue it.
Since we are such a tight family, it's where we grew up away from home. Being part of the community, part of the entire Chinese community, this has been a big aspect of our whole life.
My wife Arlene and I came to St. Genevieve's about 3 years ago on invitation from my uncle Ralph Corneliuz, and he promised us a great breakfast. And we were immediately struck by the unique beauty of the church, as well as the friendliness of the people that come here and worship. Breakfast turned out to be coffee and all the free bread you can grab. But what really struck us the most, I think, was we were warmly welcomed by everyone. And a lot of people that come here had remembrances of our family. So we really enjoyed ourselves here, and we really feel that God's word and God's what we're trying to do as a church is really shown through the people here in St. Genevieve.
From its very beginning, St. Genevieve's has been a very unique Catholic community, offering a special kind of ministry. The parish has evolved and grown over the years, and its present community is as diverse, welcoming, and committed as ever it has been. Attending the 10:30 a.m. bilingual Mass at St. Genevieve's is an experience truly different than you'll find at any other parish. You will feel like you have been transported to China for a short time, yet you will feel welcome and at home at the same time.
If your parish has a great story to share, we'd like to hear from you. Visit us at knxt.tv/profiles and tell us more. You may be featured in a future episode of KNXT's Parish Profiles.